There has been an arrest in the shooting death of a 15-year-old Toronto boy. He was killed in his home on Monday night, and now a 17-year-old has been charged with manslaughter. Gun violence is becoming frighteningly familiar in parts of the Toronto area, and as Mike Drolet reports, the young age of both victims and offenders is becoming an increasing concern.
It was another tragic night in Toronto. A shooting victim died on the way to hospital. He was only 15. His alleged killer, 17 years old, charged with manslaughter today. Kids shooting kids in one of the most at-risk neighborhoods in the country.
As soon as you hear killing, you immediately begin to think, oh, it's probably from the African community. And in most cases, you're right. And nobody says it's a crisis. That's not a crisis. So, I mean, what is a crisis? You know, and for us it is.
It's been a particularly brutal year so far in terms of youth murders. In mid-January, a 15-year-old was killed by a gunman lurking in the stairwell of his housing complex. A week later, a 9-year-old was gunned down in his home. Yet the numbers don't lie. Murder and shooting rates are comparable to past years.
So perception, you know, when you do hear these things in the media over a short period of time, we're in the month of February, it does give the perception that the numbers are inclining at a very high rate. However, the numbers don't show that.
But there's no getting around it. It's still teens and children getting gunned down. Sadly, it's nothing new in Toronto. Perhaps the frequency is, but Canada's largest city has had its share of young victims. 7 years ago, it was Jane Kriba. Last year, it was a pair of innocents at a street party, in between countless others. And each time, there's anger and political grandstanding.
It's not good enough to react every time that there's another tragedy with our youth in our city. We need to actually move forward with the recommendations we already have in our hands. We just haven't had the will to do so yet.
Or rather, says Olivia Chow, government approach hasn't been consistent.
You establish the trust through the anti-gang initiatives, build a base in the community, and then the funding dries up. A few years later, there's an election, another bunch of money comes in, and it's a vicious cycle.
It's the message community leaders have been trying to get across for years. They need help, they say. The recent shootings should be proof enough. Mike Drolet, Global News, Toronto.